Good evening. This is Sue, the Soggy Stamper. Rain or shine, it's stamping time. And I am going to show you how to make an envelope. Yesterday I showed you how to make a card using the traditional wreath embossing folder. It makes a 6x6 card, and we don't have any envelopes that are that size. So tonight I'm going to show you how to make one to fit this card. This is what I ended up with. You use designer series paper, or you could use, possibly you could use copy paper, but it needs to be size 10 inches by 10 inches. So this is what the envelope looks like. And the card slides in there just really nicely. The envelope is actually 6.5 inches wide. So excuse me. So we start with this piece of paper, designer series paper or cardstock that is 10 inches square. Now 10 inches on the diagonal is beyond the size of our trimmer. It is also bigger than the scoreboard. So what I ended up doing was just using actually a yardstick, but any item, any straight edge that you have that's long enough, could use, I've got a quilting grid, and that would work fine too. Anything that's longer than 12 inches works. So you draw a diagonal line on your paper, then you turn the paper and do the same thing like that here. Then you measure from 3 1/4 from the center line. You want 3 1/4 inches, and so you move your ruler up until you come to the edge here, and you get 3 1/4 inches. Do the same thing down here. 3 1/4, and make a mark on your paper. Now you can use the Stampin' Trimmer to do your scoring, or you could just score without that, without the trimmer. But anyways, you line up your marks like that, and then you score. Then you would turn your paper a quarter of a turn, measure the same 4 1/4 by, 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, line your points up, and you score. You'll notice that this score line overlaps this score line, and I'll explain about that in a minute. So this is my designer series paper. This is from the Traditions of Christmas specialty paper. I have already used up a whole package. When you're making envelopes with it, it takes almost a whole sheet of 12 by 12 paper. So I'm getting ready to order another package already. So here is my diagonal line, and I have, it's hard to see on this paper, but I have measured, and I have, I'll get the ruler, so I want 3 1/4, so there's that mark, 3 1/4 is there. And then down here at the bottom, 3 1/4. And there's my mark there. So I'll put that in the groove, like so, and you score. Then you turn it a quarter of a turn, and you do it again. 3 1/4, so there's my mark, and 3 1/4, so here's my mark. We'll line these two marks up, and we score. Turn it another time, and we measure 3 1/4, there's the mark, and 3 1/4, and there's the mark. And I find it better to go around and score each time you measure, rather than marking them all and then going around scoring, because you'll notice here's the mark I scored, but here's another mark, and here's another mark. And to keep straight which ones you're using, score as you make the mark, because you end up getting confused. And so we do it another time. 3 1/4 and 3 1/4. So we'll line those two up. Let's see, 3 1/4, and 3 1/4 down here. And score it. And I've already done this one. But you'll notice, if you can kind of tell, see where there's 2 score lines there? That's where I got mixed up, because I had measured twice. And so I had those two marks there, and I got confused. So just score as you do your measuring. Okay, that's all for that. Now we have, let me get out my sample, my template again. So this corner here, we got a little triangle there. We have a triangle here. I can show you on my card, on my designer series paper. Yeah, right here is a triangle. See this part here? We're going to cut it out. And then over here, let me highlight it for you so you can see it. Helps me to now I have written this up, the directions, and to be on my blog. But I'm going to load this video up onto my YouTube channel, The Soggy Stamper, and I will put a link to the directions so that you can follow the measurements and stuff like that. Okay, so now I've got the scoring all done. And we just fold. I'm going to do the two sides first. So fold this one in. Like that. Then you fold up the bottom. See how nicely it fits together? Okay, so now we'll adhere the bottom. You could use multi-purpose liquid glue, but there's enough overlap that I'm just going to use snail, because the snail is not too wide. And fold that up. And then we have our envelope. We can slide our card in there. Fits in really nicely. Then you fold the top down. Like that. And you can put a little bit of snail in there to seal it. Or you could seal it along the sides like that. Now, that's really fancy. And it would be hard to write an address on that. So choose a label die of some sort. I like these textured notes dies, and I'm going to use the third in, this one here. I've got to go get some white paper. Be right back. And there's my label. Now, if you're like me, I usually mess up when I'm doing an address. At least once or twice I'll do that. So address your label first and then put it onto your card. I'm going to take a chance. Apply it with snail. And you'll want it to stick down well. Ah, it's crooked. I hate that when you think you've got it nice and straight and it turns out crooked when you look at it again. There, that's better. Maybe. Anyway, there you go. This is how you make a quick, easy way to make a 6x6, 6.5 by 6.5 envelope to send these beautiful big cards. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Sue, the Soggy Stamper, and my blog is soggystamper.com. If you want to order any of the supplies from the new catalog, I'd love to have you as a customer. If you live here in the United States, I'll be happy to send you a catalog. Just email me, sue@soggystamper.com. And the store, my online store, is creationsbysue.stampinup.net. But the easiest way to go is go to soggystamper.com. In the upper right-hand corner is a Shop 24/7 button, and that will connect you up with my online store instantly. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.